Hello, I'm Greg Allen, Executive Director of San Juan Safe Communities Initiative and a member of the Mental Health Task Force in San Juan County. September is National Recovery Month, and we would like to invite you to see each of the recovery stories that we air on Tuesday mornings on the San Juan County, New Mexico Mental Health Task Force Facebook page. You can also see these stories on the San Juan Safe Communities Initiative website and on our YouTube channel. Please help us spread the word by following the page and sharing any useful information that you may find there or on the Safe Communities website at sjsci.org. Today, we have a special recovery story with Josh and Jessica, a married couple who balance their recovery life with work, marriage, and raising their 2 children.
Having someone in recovery to be at your house every day, you don't, like I have my sponsor and I have the guys that I talk to about, all kinds of things that I can't speak to my wife about, but it's wonderful to go home and have someone accountable that holds me accountable for my actions, because I can go off the deep end. I am a drug addict and an alcoholic, and I'm not always all together. I'm really self-centered, self-righteous. There's a lot of things where I just make up my mind about something and I just keep building on it and building on it and building on it. And then I'm at a place in my mind where I think I have this moral hierarchy or authority or something, and Jessica will come in and just knock me down with like 2 or 3 words, and just make me realize that I'm just a person and I don't know everything about politics or religion or recovery or anything. I can go off on any kind of tangent, and she just keeps me grounded really well.
And for me, I think that communicating with each other, and I think 2 months into our relationship, we wrote down a boundary list, because in early recovery, we did not know what boundaries were. And I think that played a huge part in our relationship, what things were, like the deal breaker, like cheating and lying, and also on that boundary list there was no name calling, whenever we would get into an argument, instead of knowing how to fight fair instead of fighting dirty.
That's deep-seated stuff. A lot of the stuff on our list, we had a page and a half or 2 pages of stuff that was just I grew up playing sports, and it really helps me to know where out of bounds is, so I can run right up to it, but I don't cross the line, because if you cross the line, it's a penalty, and I love Jessica, we, and it all goes back even before that, for me, I think all of this started whenever we were just sitting on my parents' front porch, talking about life, talking about, like I said, religion and politics and just where we stand morally, and just being able to feel each other out and know where each of us is coming from and why, and then having enough respect for each other and care to respect the boundary. You don't step on my toes on this, because it really hurts me deep down inside. A lot of people in recovery have asked us, how do we do it? And that is how we do it. 2 people that are very important to us, our relationship sponsors, they gave us the roadmap to be able to, at times, we do love each other, but at times to just withstand each other and not leave, There's a lot of times where I know I drive Jessica up the wall, and we have to take our moment and, go apart and deal with our mindset, really, and then come back together and talk about it. And communication is way, way up there too, but the very first thing was the open and honest communication with each other, and then right after that, the boundary list, so we knew what was fair game and what is absolutely not, has been, I don't know, I've had a bunch of failed relationships, and that was, the turning point of how to keep a relationship from turning south, before we ever get into the argument, we already know, don't go there.
It didn't mean anything to me. I didn't know what hope was. I kind of had to see it for myself and experience it to understand what that word really meant.
Yeah, hope was kind of a far away, intangible thing, I got so used to and so caught up in my habits of doing whatever I wanted when I wanted, and all of the things that I wanted to do and all the ways I wanted to do them were not good. They were crippling me spiritually. I was so stuck in a rut that, there's this song that says every day is exactly the same, that my whole life I built on a routine and a regiment to, go do what I had to do as far as work or whatever, and then get off. And how much getting messed up could I take in a day to do it again the next day, and still be able to make it work. And the more I used and drank and stuff, the less important going to work became, and hope, I wanted things to happen, like I prayed for, Jessica and our kids, I prayed for our kids by name, and, my higher power gave me my kids by name. I have Aiden and Eris, and I prayed for those things whenever I was in the worst part of my addiction. So I guess I did have some hope that someday something would change. But in the midst of it, there was no changing anything, because I built my life to be what I was.
Well, okay, for me, my advice to them would be work on yourself first. And that's what I had to do. I had to work and I had to love myself before I could love anyone else, So once I was able to have some love for myself, to be kind and to respect myself, I felt comfortable entering a relationship. So, and when I did, I try to kind of bring that love and respect into our relationship, respect him, love him, communicate, be honest with him. It's completely different from this is my first healthy relationship I've ever been in. There's no violence, there's security. I feel supported in my relationship. It's really good.
Don't forget, I was thoroughly vetted. You asked all kinds of people what kind of person I was, and that's important. You don't just jump into something that is as life-changing as any relationship, because any relationship can be terrible and go from good to bad very quickly. I think vetting people is something that people need to do. Don't get on the internet and search them out or anything. I guess you could do that, but we asked our sponsors, we asked people around us that knew us and knew what we were going through, and had a personal connection to us. What do you think? And once we got that answer, that's whenever we move forward, really. I asked her out on a date on my own, but we really didn't, start spending as much time until we talked to our sponsors. We were spending time hanging out with each other and stuff, but we asked those people around us what they thought, because I have not made the best choices for my life, and this was something that I had always wanted, and so I did ask. I asked her sponsor, who's a really good friend of mine, and my sponsor, and just the people that knew both of us what they thought, and everyone, they've been around long enough to realize that we were trying to work towards something positive. And then, once we did, we started working toward positive things together. I'm so excited. I didn't know what hope was before. Now I have a picture for my life that we can accomplish. We can, own homes and flip houses, and, both become, more and more rooted in our community, through our professions. And the sky's the limit for us now. Whenever I was trying to find, how am I going to steal $100 from someone to be able to score tonight? Now I have a future. Before, it says in our book, that we're purchasing our death, a bag and a bottle at a time, and it's turned from slowly dying to having a future full of hope for us and our kids, and I'm so happy I'm doing it with her. It's awesome. Future to me, for us personally, I really want to be able to, get a big house with a big yard and have a dog and a white picket fence and everything. We've talked about this, and we can do it. We're at a place where we're rebuilding our credit. I never thought about credit before. All I did was, really, I stole from people. I'm a thief. I can say that I'm a thief, a liar, and a cheat. And I am not those things today. That's part of how I got some dignity and self-respect back, is by not doing those things for long enough. I realized that that's who I was. That's not who I am. But hope for us as a family is, just the American dream kind of stuff. We want to have, a retirement. We want to be able to, take our kids on vacations every year. But you know what, on a personal level, as far as a purpose for my life, I want to go tell people it gets better. There is a chance, there is hope for you. I've seen all kinds of people go through all kinds of crap in the last, almost 5 years.
Whenever I was using, I didn't really have a picture of the future. I just thought that I was just gonna die with a needle in my arm. There was just no future for me. Now I feel that my future entails, the house and having like a respectable job, finishing school, and just being a productive member of society. I want to be able to help out the community as much as I can and give back what was freely given to me. I think sharing the load helps a lot, like 50-50. For example, if I cook, you do the dishes, or if you were at work all day, the house will be clean. We try not to overwhelm one person with more work than the other. So there was a time when I was working 2 jobs and he was working his job and taking care of the housework, and it was just, we were both overwhelmed, and it was crazy, huh?
Yep.
It was so chaotic. There was a point where I was just like, okay, I'm done with this, So I think sharing the load is important. For me, continuing to work on myself helps. The 12 steps help me with my own insecurities so I don't bring it into this relationship. Continuing to communicate with each other and be honest. And just trying to be a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially with the kids. I'm a little more lenient with my kids than he is. They all come running to me, and as hard as it is for me to disagree, or as hard as it is for me to agree with him on some things, we've found out that it's good to just be on the same page.
Yep. Yeah, it's just like anything else, like it is like being on a team. If someone's, having a hard time and is having trouble just getting through the day, like there's one of us that can go and just support the other, that can, if the dishes need to be done, I will do them, like if we got to do some laundry, I'll do it, if the baby needs to get her butt wiped, then that's what I'll do, like, I don't know, I lived in filth, like for so long. There was a pretty good period in my life where I didn't do dishes, I didn't do anything, until I had to, and then by the time that came, it was disgusting. Stagnant water make you throw up, and it was disgusting. The way I used to live my life was terrible. And, whenever I get home, we don't want to do that now. We want to have a good, clean, safe place for our kids to be able to, jump off the couch and bust their face on the freaking coffee table. And, we got a 2-year-old. She's crazy. We have to keep it moderately safe for her to even be able to operate it all, because that is something that is important to us, and it's not just about the kids, like Jessica's, mental and spiritual well-being, can get affected by that stuff, if stuff gets, she's had some hard jobs, recently. And, if she comes back, and I can tell that she's, dealing with the aftermath of work and dealing with, women that have been abused and children that have been abused and molested and all these terrible things, Like, is it that hard for me to just do some dishes or mop the house or pick up that room or whatever just to, like, ease a little bit from her, so she's not worried about all this stuff? It's 100% about teamwork and compassion and a little bit of empathy, Like, I don't think you can have a good relationship without putting yourself in their shoes every now and again. And I always thought it was going to be like 1960s. Like, I go to work and then come home and, like, dinner's cooked and dishes are done. And that is a fantasy, like, and and my addiction was a fantasy. I'm trying to base everything I do in reality now, and it helps to have a partner that will tell me, I need this to get done. The communication is a must-have too.
And knowing when to ask for help. Like there was a rough time in our relationship to where I was just about ready to throw in the towel, like I'm done, I can't do this. And that's how I used to handle every relationship. I just walk away from it. We sought help from our pastor.
Yep.
Yeah, and we got couples counseling before we got married, and that helped so much. So knowing when to ask for help, like going into a relationship, I don't know anything about a healthy relationship. I'm still working on myself. I still ask my sponsor for help, like how do you do this? What should I do? It's played a huge role in our relationship. I don't think we would have gotten this far if it wasn't for other people in recovery showing us how to be a partner, to be a wife, and to be a mother.
Well, and that's something that goes for all of recovery. We isolate so much, and we get so caught up in our self-deception, our justification for the way we want things and how we think things are. We lie to ourselves into a corner, and whenever we're in that corner and the world's falling apart, you don't know what to do. The most important thing to do in recovery is ask for help. Ask someone that knows, get a counselor, get a psychiatrist, there's a lot of people that are in the meetings that do take drugs, they don't take, illicit drugs or, illegal drugs. They take, drugs prescribed by a physician that know, this will help you, like it's worked for, all kinds of people for all different kinds of things, but self-medicating is where the danger is, going out and seeking, medical advice, spiritual advice from a pastor or whatever you believe in, there's people that know the answer, but if you sit in a closet by yourself and you don't ask anybody, you're never going to know. I sat in a circle, passing around a bottle or passing around a pipe for so long, and my problem stayed the same forever because I kept asking people what the solution was whenever they were in the same problem as me. Whenever I got out and I started talking to, I've talked to pastors, I've talked to counselors, I've talked to all kinds of mentors in the rooms, and they actually have answers for the problems I'm facing, whether it be marriage or parenting or, work-related issues, all kinds of stuff, If you don't get it out of yourself, you'll never know what could be.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Josh.
And thank you for listening to our recovery story.